Scorpio, welcome to your monthly horoscope for February 2024. My name is Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and in this horoscope, I will be walking you through each week of the month, giving you a really good understanding of the major themes, topics, and energy that you will be navigating for February of 2024. So let's get right into it. So I first just want to start by mentioning that as we come into February, we have all planets direct. So it is a go time. It is time to start implementing what it is you want for 2024. It is time to start moving forward with something, whatever it is that you want to create. Now, we also have Pluto back in Aquarius. So you have Aquarius in your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. Now, we did have Pluto enter Aquarius back in 2023 between March and June, giving us a little taste of what this Pluto and Aquarius energy can bring. However, this year in 2024, Pluto is going to spend the majority of its time in Aquarius, giving us a much better idea and feel for what this Pluto energy is going to bring us collectively and individually, especially the month of February, because we have all of the personal planets in Capricorn coming into February. And throughout really the first 2 weeks of February, we're going to have Mercury, Venus, and Mars enter Aquarius and form a conjunction to Pluto, which is really going to give us an idea of what this Pluto and Aquarius energy is going to bring us. So we really want to be paying attention throughout this month as to what is showing up individually and collectively. Now, on February 1st, we have Mercury forming a sextile to Neptune. And at this point, Mercury is still going to be in Capricorn, in your third house. Now, your third house represents community, neighbors, neighborhood, communication, mindset. And so, with Mercury forming a sextile to Neptune, this can be very creative. This can be very romantic. And I love that Mercury is in Capricorn because that energy is what is really keeping us grounded. Because sometimes with Neptune, our head can get too much in the clouds. But we're really able to stay grounded with the Mercury in Capricorn. And this could have to do with to be honest, I mean, having Neptune too in your fifth house of creativity, this would be really great for expressing your creativity in some way. So I do love that. Now, on February 5th, we're going to have Mercury enter Aquarius, your fourth house, and form a conjunction to Pluto. Now, Mercury generally ruling our mind and mindset, communication, information. For you, Mercury rules your 11th house of friends and friendships, social groups, and online connections, but also your 8th house of psychological healing and transformation, or your partner's finances, or money coming in from outside resources. So the Mercury conjunction to Pluto can definitely be affecting these areas of life where maybe there's something very deep, intense, and transformational showing up for you in these areas. Or, of course, it could have to do with that fourth house, like maybe getting some type of information for that has to do with your home or your family. Now, on that same day, we're going to have Venus form a square to Chiron. And at this point, Venus is still going to be in Capricorn, and forming a square to Chiron. This is where there can be, Chiron is the wounded healer. And so sometimes when we have these difficult energies with Chiron, they can be triggers or activations of old wounds, vulnerabilities. And because Venus is the ruler of your seventh house of relationships, but also your 12th house of self-undoing and self-sabotaging, also karmic energy. I mean, there could be something triggered here within a relationship that could be a little difficult. It could be actually like poking at some old trauma or old hurt, even too when it has to do with your self-love, your self-worth, self-confidence. And so just know that when we have these squares, they can bring up some difficult energies that we have to kind of face head on, but this brings in amazing opportunity for personal growth. So always remember that we do have to go through the challenge to grow, right? And so this is a day that can be, a little challenging when it has to do with maybe some old hurt or wounds. Now, we're also still in this Saturn Jupiter sextile, which at this point we've been in for a couple of weeks, and we will be in in the Jupiter Saturn sextile well into February. So this is an energy that we're just kind of moving through. And I do love this because having Saturn in Pisces, the sign of spirituality and energy, and Jupiter in Taurus, I really look at this as, and even having Saturn in Pisces, I look at this as where if we're doing the spiritual work and really taking care of our energy, we're totally able to manifest in our physical reality right now. It's bringing in this opportunity for amazing transformation and growth on a spiritual and energetic level, but like bringing it into, it's almost like this manifestation power, if that makes sense, as long as we're doing the spiritual work. Now, on February 6th, we will have Venus forming a T square to the nodes. And just to touch on the nodes for a little bit, you have the North Node in Aries in your sixth house and the South Node in Libra in your 12th house. Excuse me. And so your sixth house has to do with work, health, and daily routine. And your 12th house has to do with spirituality, karmic energy, self undoing, self sabotaging, isolation, also places that are hidden. Things go to the 12th house to hide. Now, the south node has to do with the past or something here that needs to be released and let go of. And the north node has to do with a new direction. This is something new, something unknown. And so there is a lot of changes taking place this year in these areas of life, having the nodes in these houses. And the nodes represent where we're having the eclipses. And so when we have Venus forming a T square to the nodes, this can really show where there can be some tension on a specific direction or choice that needs to be made. Sometimes when it's a T square to the nodes with any planet, it's like wanting to go in two directions at once. Venus having to do with relationships for you. I mean, this could be, something really coming to a head where maybe you're having to make a choice with a certain relationship or one-on-one connection. Venus also ruling that south node and the 12th house, there may be something really showing up here around how you can self-sabotage or something along those lines. Now on February 7th, we will have Venus form a trine to Uranus. And this can be like a beautiful surprise kind of coming in. It's a trine. It's a very easy flowing energy. So it's not necessarily anything that can be, challenging or difficult, but it is Uranus. So it could just be something coming in very out of the blue. Uranus being in your seventh house, but Uranus also ruling that fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. It might be like something really nice, but like unexpected and shocking coming in around home, family, property, real estate, but then also around your relationships because Uranus is in the seventh house, plus Venus rules that seventh house. So there might be something really beautiful but unexpected showing up around, a relationship or one-on-one connection in your life. Now, on February 8th, we're going to have the sun form a square to Uranus, and the sun rules the sun represents our consciousness and life force energy, and Uranus actually rules the electrical systems in our body. So sometimes when we have these squares with the sun and Uranus, it can be just a very unstable, energetic day where maybe sometimes we have a lot of energy and then we feel depleted, or it could just be harder to connect to the energies around you if you manifest or not manifest, meditate. So it is just a day to kind of be mindful. And also, too, sometimes you can experience anxiety with this transit. Now, on February 9th, we're going to have our new moon in Aquarius, and that new moon is going to be square to Uranus, and Uranus is actually the ruler of that new moon. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on the moons and the horoscopes because I do post separate videos where I pull up the chart for the new moon and full moons, and I get into all 12 rising signs. So make sure you subscribe and watch for that. But what I do want to say about this new moon is that when I look at the charts for the new moons as imprints to how these energies are going to manifest, and the fact that the new moon is going to be square, the dispositor of the moon, Uranus, shows that whatever intentions you're setting at this time or whatever you're implementing at this time, expect the unexpected with the manifestation process, basically, like whatever journey you're kind of heading into with this new moon, expect that things can come, be shocking or come out of the blue. Now, on February 10th, we're going to have Mercury form a square to Jupiter. Now, Mercury squaring Jupiter at this point, Mercury being in Aquarius in your fourth house of home and family, squaring Jupiter I look at this, Mercury and Aquarius already can be, a lot of ideas coming in. This is, a lot of thinking, a lot of ideas, a lot of innovations, a lot of wanting to create, right? It's Aquarius. Square and Jupiter can almost feel like be this overwhelming feeling or just having so many ideas, or so much information, but like not knowing what to do with it, not being able to focus. So that is something that we want to be mindful of. Now, Mercury ruling that eighth house and 11th house, this could be something showing up around those eighth and 11th house themes and topics. With this Mercury square to Jupiter, again, that eighth house representing your partner's finances, like maybe something showing up around your partner's finances. That they're having to navigate, or if you're trying to get money from outside resources, there may be something you're having to try to navigate, or again, psychological healing and transformation. In the 11th house, if you're doing any online work, there can be something, that you're having to navigate around that. Now, on February 11th is when we start that North Node Chiron conjunction. And this is a 2-week transit. This is when this transit really begins. And this is right here in your sixth house. Now, this is going to really show up collectively, which I'll be talking about in the collective forecast. But this is where there can really be like a trigger activation of, again, a wound, a trauma, a hurt, a vulnerability of some kind, something that you've navigated or been navigating, throughout your life. It's an inner wound. It's that Chiron energy. But with this Chiron North Node conjunction, it's almost, I really look at this as whatever is showing up. It's like the universe is bringing this up so that you can heal once and for all. And this can completely change the trajectory of your path and journey in such an amazing karmic way. And I really hope that makes sense. But that's what I feel so much with this Chiron North Node conjunction on an individual level. Now, as we come into the second week of February, on the 13th is when we have Mars enter Aquarius and form a conjunction to Pluto. Now, Mars and Pluto are your chart rulers. Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio. And so both of your rulers are forming a conjunction in your fourth house. This can feel really intense. This can be very volatile. Mars already ruling anger, aggression, and conflict. Pluto being very intense, this like powerful energy. This could have to do with something you're navigating around home, family, property, and real estate because it is happening in your fourth house. But this can also have to do with you and your journey or something that you're navigating on just such a personal level. That can be transformational, where it can be, quite difficult, but it's Pluto. So Pluto could really be bringing something that's deep beneath the surface to light for you to move through, to transform. Now Mars also rules that sixth house of work, health, and daily routine. Those themes and topics may also be, showing up. There may be something you're having to navigate around that. Now, on that same day, we're going to have Venus forming a sextile to Neptune. At this point, Venus is still going to be in Capricorn in your third house. Venus ruling that 12th house and the seventh. This could be very beautiful for, relationships, one-on-one connections, spiritual work. Neptune, being a very spiritual energy, Venus ruling that 12th house. This could be very great for any type of spiritual or intuitive work. Then February 14th, I put the Saturn Jupiter sextile because it's like they moved to like another degree, but it's an energy we're still in at this point. February 16th, we have Venus entering Aquarius and forming a conjunction to Pluto. And so all of this energy is here in your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So there is a lot going on throughout the month of February around your home. Maybe at this point you're thinking about redecorating your home, possibly moving, possibly doing some renovations. There might be a lot that you're moving through with family at this time. Maybe, yeah, there's a lot of energy here. But again, Venus rules that seventh house. So there can also be something very transformational taking place too around a relationship. Like maybe you decide to move in with a partner, or maybe, a partner is moving out. There is something, taking place here, possibly with a relationship and home. So very interesting. And then also on that same day, we have Mercury forming a square to Uranus. So Mercury Still in Aquarius, forming a square to Uranus. This is when we can feel anxiety. And again, Mercury being in Aquarius, where there's a lot of ideas, a lot of thinking going on, and Uranus is just making that very unstable. It's just, it can be, I mean, the Mercury Jupiter square is more kind of like overwhelming, I feel like. The Uranus energy is more like really just not being able to focus. There can be a lot going on mentally at this time. There again could be a lot of anxiety. So this is something we all kind of want to be watching for. And then Mercury also rules, that 8th house and 11th house. So there can be something with those themes and topics again that you're having to navigate. And then, of course, also maybe something around home and family and property because Mercury is in that fourth house. Now, on February 18th is when we have the sun enter Pisces. You have Pisces in the fifth house of children, creativity, pleasure, passion, your hobbies, your interests, everything you do for fun. Romance is also in the fifth house. And so having Saturn in that fifth house, throughout the year 2024 is really going to be changing that area of life for you and those themes and topics. Sometimes Saturn can bring challenge or restriction, but also, Saturn wants us to become more responsible or accountable in that area of our life in some way. You will find that some way or another throughout the transit of Saturn moving through your houses. Saturn does make changes there, whether it is on a psychological level, a physical level, but there is changes that tend to take place in those areas of life. So just something to keep in mind throughout the year 2024, because Saturn will be here until essentially 2026. So this is an energy you will be navigating for the whole year. But this year, during Pisces season, is going to be our first Pisces season with Saturn, because Saturn has not been in Pisces for about 30 years. So this is going to feel different this Pisces season having Saturn there. So just something to keep in mind. Just like with Aquarius season, it's kind of our first Aquarius season with Pluto. It's our first Pisces season with Saturn. Now, once we get to the third week of February, on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, we have a Venus-Mars conjunction. We have the cosmic lovers coming together in your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So again, a lot going on here, Scorpio, around your home. Now, that conjunction comes exact on the 22nd at 6 degrees. Now, Venus ruling that seventh house of relationships. This can definitely have to do with a partner, with a relationship, with some type of one-on-one connection. This can also have to do again with home. So there is, quite a lot going on this month around relationships and home for you, Scorpio. Now, but either way, when Mars and Venus come together, these are the cosmic lovers. This can be a very passionate energy. Now, I think collectively we may be seeing a lot of protests or a lot of people coming together at this time. Actually, when we had the Venus Mars conjunction in Capricorn, that's when we had the trucker convoy in Canada. So it's quite interesting. So it'll be interesting to see, what this shows up. I will be talking about this in my collective forecast for February. But on February 23rd, we're going to have Mercury entering Pisces. So then Mercury is going to enter this fifth house, bringing more, focus to those fifth house themes and topics. On the 24th, we will have the full moon in Virgo at 5 degrees, and you have Virgo in your 11th house. Of friends and friendships, social groups, online connections, social media, networking, your organizations, any social groups that you're really a part of is all in that 11th house. Also, your hopes and dreams are in the 11th house. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this energy, but if you think back 6 months prior, the intentions you were setting at the time of the new moon in Virgo, you can start to see those intentions come to fruition. And either way, this area of your life is lit up at the time of this full moon, bringing more focus to this area of life. At the same time, we're going to have Venus forming a square to Jupiter. So Venus is going to be in Aquarius, forming a square to Jupiter here in your seventh house. So again, this can have to do with a relationship, this could be maybe, I mean, generally with Venus Jupiter squares, we want to watch for overindulgence. Because I feel like this has to do with like a one-on-one. Well, actually, to be honest, it could go either way. And I'm sure for some of you, it'll go both, or not both, but for some, it can have to do with relationships. And for some, because Venus rules that 12th house, it could have to do with overindulgence. Or just be careful you're not doing anything that's self-sabotaging, because of the connection to the 12th house. But this could be, feeling defeated in some way, feeling less optimistic because it is a square to Jupiter. So, an energy to be mindful of. Then, once we get to the fourth week of February, on the 26th, we're going to have Mars square Jupiter. So, Mars, your chart ruler in your fourth house squaring Jupiter. This can feel a little intense. This can feel, very overwhelming. You can possibly be moving something at this point, or maybe whatever you've kind of been moving throughout the month around home and family is becoming very overwhelming at this time. This can, yeah, I really look at this as just kind of like this feeling of over feeling not even so much defeated, but just feeling very overwhelmed, maybe not knowing how to take action, maybe not knowing the direction to move in, feeling a little defeated because it is a square to Jupiter, which rules our optimism, right? So there could be something you're navigating here on these days around home and family that's feeling, but again, it could have to do with home and family because it is in the fourth, but it's also you, right? Like Mars is your chart ruler, so Mars represents you. So there could be something that you're just feeling on this day, and you may just need to kind of ride the wave. And just see what happens. Like I wouldn't be pushing anything too much. If you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe just sitting with the energy at this time is the best way to kind of navigate the energy. Now, on the 27th and 28th, we're going to have the Mercury, Sun, Saturn, Cazimi, and this is going to happen in your fifth house. And I find this fascinating. I really can't wait to see kind of what shows up collectively with this. Usually with Mercury Kizimis, and that's when we have the Sun and Mercury forming a conjunction. This is when we get, insight, clarity, intuitive downloads, those aha moments, something just clicks. But we have Saturn here, and they're going to conjunct at the same degree. So not only is Saturn in the same sign in the same house, but they're literally coming together at the same time as the Mercury Kizimi. So I look at this as, two ways. This could be where we have this amazing insight and we know how to apply that to our life. We know how to apply it in a constructive, is that the word I'm looking for, way? Because it's Saturn, we know how to utilize it and we know how to move forward. Or it could be, challenging, restrictive. There can be delays involved with Saturn. Things take time with Saturn. So it's really going to be interesting how that shows up. And I'll be talking about that energy as well within the collective forecast. Now, on the 29th is when we have Mercury form a sextile to Jupiter, and then the Sun is going to form a sextile to Jupiter. So this is in your fifth house. Oh, and again, with this conjunction too being in your fifth house, I mean, this can also have to do with something around the fifth house themes and topics. So you may be moving through some type of, wanting to create something. And this is when you get that aha, oh my gosh, now I know what I want to create and I know how I want to implement it. I know how I want to move forward. It could definitely show up in that way. It could be something that you've been dwelling on for a long time. And then all of a sudden, it's like you know what you want to do. You know the direction you want to move in. Now, when we have Mercury sextile Jupiter, I love this for creativity. Mercury being in Pisces in your fifth house, sextiling Jupiter. This can be a really great energy. There can be opportunities coming in for creativity, for creative flow. When we have the Sun sextile Jupiter, the same thing. The Sun really our consciousness. This could be a beautiful day for tapping into the energies around us, raising our vibration and consciousness, and really, utilizing the creativity and creative flow. So, Scorpio, I really hope that. Oh, sorry. Scorpio, I really hope that this horoscope helps you navigate the energies for the month ahead. Don't forget to subscribe. If you align with my energy and enjoy my content, I will be posting monthly horoscopes every single month on the last day or the first day of the month. I also post new moon and full moon forecasts going into all 12 rising signs. And I post weekly forecasts talking about the weekly energies. So make sure you subscribe so you never miss a forecast. And I will connect with you in the next one.